I'm Travis Good. I'm one of the co-founders and CISO at Workstreet. Workstreet is a professional service firm that builds, manages, and operates security and compliance programs for everybody from small startups through mid-market companies. In this video, we're going to be focused on CMMC, specifically the cost of implementing a CMMC program from zero through assessment and audit. The cost of CMMC is highly variable. There are factors that relate to the company, the size, the structure, the way that they operate, and there are factors in terms of who the company is working with and specifically the types of data that they're processing. So really the biggest first factor, and we'll give a range of costs for each of the different levels, but really the first factor is going to be the CMMC level that a company is going after. So you have 1, 2, and 3, depending on really the type of data that you're processing or as a company touching in some way. So in the case of level 1, you're working with FCI data, so that's federal contract related data, could be invoices, contracts, things like that. Level 1 is for CMMC is a self-attestation. It's a limited number of controls, and it's something that is the lowest bar to achieve if you're going for CMMC. In terms of the cost, it does vary, but you can do CMMC level 1 for as little as probably $5,000, and you can manage that almost entirely or entirely internally, depending on the resources that you have to build out policies and procedures and do the things you need to do to address that small number of controls, and then self-submit and self-attest the results of that. And so anywhere from about $5,000 to $15,000 concurrent with the cost. The time to do it is anywhere from like 30 to 60 days if the company's really moving quickly and looking to kind of sprint to a level 1. For CMMC level 2, it's where an external assessor, a C3PAO, ends up getting involved. And so it fundamentally changes the process of achieving CMMC. So there is a stepwise change from level 1 to level 2, and that's really driven primarily by the fact that you need to do an external assessment. In addition to the assessment, which does add significantly to the cost, there also are about 8 times the number of controls that you need to achieve and comply with for CMMC level 2 versus level 1. And so the cost at its absolute cheapest for a level 2 is going to be the cost of the audit and then the cost of any internal resources that you need to build out that program. The least expensive audit that I've ever seen for CMMC level 2 is going to be in the $40,000 range. That's a pretty low price. Most CMMC level 2 audits are going to be closer to like 50 to 80, even $100,000 to do that level 2 audit. So just the audit cost alone is going to get you to basically $50,000. And then the variety in cost is going to be whether you need to build a secure enclave for CUI, which is the type of data that you're processing in level 2, whether you're going to work with a third party or you're going to build it out internally to develop your policies and procedures and remediate the controls to meet level 2, and then the audit itself. So in terms of level 2, I would say budget anywhere from about $50,000 at the extreme low end up to $200,000 or potentially more for larger organizations. So it certainly could be more than 200,000, but I think for most companies that we're working with, that 50 to 200 range is a pretty safe range for CMMC level 2. CMMC level 3, it's almost like all bets are off. It can be anywhere from $150,000 up to over $1 million. So there's an additional set of controls. There are a lot of additional things that you need to do. And then the audit process itself doesn't just involve a C3PAO, but it involves the agency itself. So the audit is a much more involved process. It's going to take a lot more time, either from a partner, like a services provider that you work with to help in the process, or internally if you're managing that process itself. So that's where level 3 really can spiral to be much, much more expensive than a level 2, which is much more similar in cost to a level 1. The majority of companies that need to do CMMC are working with CUI. They are needing to do level 2. So for most companies, that level 2 price is what people are anchoring on. In terms of thinking about and budgeting and planning for CMMC, the biggest factors, one is going to be the level. It should be determined by the type of data you process, but we're increasingly seeing it determined by the prime contractors that are pushing the requirements down to their subs. It's becoming a little bit of a market-driven approach, but the level is going to be the primary determinant. Once you're in that range, that budget range for the level that we talked about in the first segment, where you fall in that range is going to be largely a product of the size and scope of your CMMC environment. So that's really specific to the size and scope of your environment. You could be a really large company with hundreds or even thousands of employees, and your CMMC environment could be a small subset of those employees, a small subset of those devices. And so that CMMC covered environment is really going to be the primary driver of where you sit in that range of prices from the low end to the high end within the level that you're trying to, or you're needing to comply with.